Oh, Spirit, grant me eternal happiness. Oh, Spirit, grant me eternal happiness.
Look any different. I somehow managed to get a second one with the very few repels I had left, and with all the Pokemon traded over, I began the final grind. I started out by reviving every fossil that I collected by this point, and for quite a few of them, I managed to only get one, which is honestly not a huge deal considering that there's an absolutely ridiculous list of Pokemon that need to be bred. If you've been paying attention or at least played the post-game of Sinnoh yourself, you'd know that you're way more likely to encounter Pokemon's final stage rather than its base form. And while I'm definitely not complaining about having to grind for dex entries, a majority of the Pokemon I have to breed aren't even catchable in the game. So I began the grind of going in Pokedex order, breeding as many duplicates as I needed, and I'll be honest, I don't remember this game taking this long. Now while I do get sidetracked every once in a while, it took me 6 hours to hatch every egg that I needed, which to my knowledge is the most time I've ever spent doing that in a Living Dex challenge, and there was all but one Pokemon I needed here that I've been putting off for the entire challenge. I know I haven't really gone into insane detail about my experience about trying to catch Munchlax, but at this point, I truly was going through it. Because I was so adamant about getting it from the honey trees, I not only was checking twice a day on stream, but additionally I was using my copy of Pearl, which means that I was checking 16 times a day, which is a lot. Because I knew that evolving everything was going to take a pretty long time, I decided to keep attempting to get it, and only until the very end would I give in. So you're probably wondering, where's the best location to grind in this game? And while it's definitely not as bad as Crystal and Emerald, the options here aren't amazing. In my opinion, there are 2 options. For Pokemon that need to reach around level 35, like the starters, you can rebattle the Ace Trainer above the resort area, who has a Salamence that will typically give you 3000 XP with the Lucky Egg per battle. As for anything above that, it's really best to take on the Elite Four. Because the rematch battles are in the 70s, the amount you earn is basically 6 Salamence per battle, which is kind of a waste for those lower level evolutions, as they'll just sit in your party for the remaining 4 matches. I began working on chipping away at the starters and all the Kanto mons, and eventually somehow ended the day with only about 40 new entries, so I knew I had to kick it into overdrive. On day 17, I had the goal of completing all of the Kanto decks, and really getting as much stuff done as I could. But first, I had to check on some honey trees. count your days. Aside from having some interesting attire for the day, this was your average grind, which is about as tedious and boring as you would imagine it would be, so I did whatever I could to pass the time, which included telling a lot of stories.
Do you remember a certain incident with duct tape?
Yes, I do. The phone call from your teacher?
Yes.
Yeah, he was very apologetic. I'm sorry. Didn't you have gum or something in your hair? And he used duct tape. He thought he was going to use duct tape to get it out or something. I don't know. And ended up making a bald spot in your head.
Mom, you know the worst part? He did it in front of the ladies.
How many points off your aura did that take?
Many. How much aura do you think I have, just out of curiosity?
I think probably 10. So you probably went down to 4, I guess.
What?
Only in that moment. I mean, your hair grew back and then you were fine.
I'm in now.
Oh, now?
Yeah.
I would say you're a 9.7.
I gotta go, Mom.
Because I knew that I could only make the same 6 battles entertaining for so long, I spent some time off stream evolving the entirety of the Johto Dex, where I finally reached max money in the game, and more importantly, was able to get the 400 Dex mark. The next day I worked on getting through the Hoenn Dex, but something very interesting happened during this stream. That is very clearly the highest chance we can get for a Munchlax. It's vibrating, okay? And it's a 93% chance that it picks from Group C, which is the only group that has Munchlax. It is so in our favor right now to get this Pokemon. This is the final tree that we're checking. Oh my God. Although this was going to be the last encounter for the challenge, I decided that I would find a way to extend this challenge one more day, which in reality, I didn't need to do at all since I still had the entirety of Gen 4 to complete, but with only about 50 Pokemon left to evolve, I knew that I was at the end. On day 19, I made the goal that I would not end stream until I had the Living Dex completed, and by the beginning of this stream, I've been grinding for 28 hours. So if there's any takeaway from this challenge, it's that catching Pokemon in the Gen 3 games is absolutely 100% worth your time if you want to get this done faster. And speaking of that, it was time for the actual final check of the challenge.
This is a 1 in 100 chance, and we've gone top to bottom throughout the whole region this whole month. I still have to calc it out, but I believe this is tree number 170, and the odds are 1 in 100. Here we go. Well, I think that does it.
After spending a few more days taking care of the level up evolutions, I quickly gathered and this.
Well, I think that does it.
After spending a few more days taking care of the level up evolutions, I quickly gathered and equipped a bunch of items to trade all 12 trade evolutions that I had left to do, and after quickly and reluctantly breeding Snorlax, I could say that I was finally done.
And with that, chat, I've successfully caught every single Pokemon in a full Living Dex of Sinnoh. Oh yeah, no, actually I'm missing a couple. If we look at the Pokedex, as you can see, I have 490 seen, I have 490 obtained. So what are the final 3?
At the bottom of the Pokedex are 3 final Pokemon: Darkrai, Shaman, and Arceus. While all these also had distribution events that I probably could have obtained to get these Pokemon, unlike the others, there were additional Wi-Fi events that were available where you could complete secret story missions by the unlock them. For the first event, if we go into Candelave City, we can enter the northeastern house and are put to sleep by the innkeeper, and when we awaken, we'll be on New Moon Island. Inside, we can challenge the first mythical, Darkrai. Thankfully, during this process, it happened to be nighttime, so this was pretty easy to catch, but the next one takes a little bit longer. If we go through the post-game maze within Victory Road, we can meet Professor Oak and Marley on Route 224, where we have a small requirement that needs to be addressed before we can catch Shaman.
Okay, so I can choose to thank someone. You want to express your thanks to women? You're absolutely certain? I couldn't think of anything else, actually.
With this captured, it was time to take on the final Pokemon in the challenge.
We have one more. John's Azure Flute is making a sound, and a stairwell appears. Use Rock Climb, it won't kill. You need to go to jail. That's so messed up, and I want to ban you so bad.
Bienvenido al UCM, por cierto. No llegas en su mejor momento. En cuanto a ti, quiero hablar con tu jefe. Llámale por teléfono y dile a él, a ella o ella que el Jesucristo de Marvel se revela. Host... Acabo de oír una sinfonía de cerrándose a la vez. Vais por libre. Vuestros jefes no saben lo que hacéis aquí. Psicópatas. Pues soy cinturón negro en poner reclamaciones y pienso ir arriba y chivarme de todos vosotros y de vuestros...
Oh, bendito silencio, ¿no?
¿Dónde está?
En el basurero. Te va a encantar. Por los pelos.
Come on. Yes! And with that, chat, I have successfully completed the entire Pokedex of full living dex. Top to bottom, we got the rarest guy. And it only took, I think, like 200 hours. As you can see, I have collected every single Pokemon in Pokedex order. Nothing left out. Done it all top to bottom. And it took an absolutely nuclear amount of hours. This is the longest living dex I've done, and I genuinely cannot believe that. It was so difficult. It was so tedious. That's it, chat. Wait, am I stupid? I didn't get all my rewards. The world is immense. There are many more Pokemon. That means there are many more thrills for you to seek and enjoy. Surely that's not it. There's no way. What's that? You've caught Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres? That was like a month ago. You are so late. Like, and I just saw you. You finally completed the National Pokedex. This